Hi, I'm Lee. Welcome back to the channel. We've got a Panasonic VHS player here, the NV-HV61. I picked this up from a job lot from a shop that was like closing down. They were just like getting rid of all their old junk they had, putting their good stuff in their other shop. And these were all left behind. I picked up 4 different like items for about £1. This is one of them. Well, not £4. Each item was £1. They were getting rid of everything for £1. Right, so I've already plugged this in. It kept turning on and off. But I'm going to plug it in now. It's not going to do anything. No, it's absolutely dead now. Plugged in and nothing. I plugged it in before and it basically the screen post on, post off, post on, post off. But yeah, nothing now. So let's get the lid off this one and see what's wrong with it. And hopefully get it fixed. Alright, let's unplug it all. Let's see what we're welcomed with. Oh, blown leaky caps. Oh, got a copy of Cinderella. How nice. Right, so we look straight down in this corner. And they look, does that look freshly blown? Yeah, that's all crusty. That's all dried up electrolytics. So hopefully those two there, we've got those two that are bulging. It's probably just them 2 caps. So let's strip this out, get them caps changed. No excess from underneath as usual, so we're basically going to have to pull the front off to get that board out, I would imagine. So the front, you just have like a couple of clips usually on the side that undo. And the clips on the top, there we go. Ah, that was easy. See all the dust in the front side there, so we can clean it out. Right, hopefully this whole back will come off. Just undo this bottom screw in the middle. We'll take the whole board out with the back still attached. So I'll just undo these board screws. I'll be very careful in here still. Some of these capacitors still could have some charge in it. This is your hot side. This is where your power's coming in. And you can see it's defined by a line around there. This is hot. And it usually has, there you go, usually has hot written on there. So that's your hot side. This is basically your 240 volts that you have coming in. And then usually the rest of it is called your cold side because it's all lower voltages. And DC voltage as well, so not usually as bad. Could still get a shock off them though. Going to be more. There's one just at the front of here. Come on, get out of there. And they're going all the way through. So bloody hell. You're going to have to take the mechanism out as well, because that's going all the way through to the bottom. Okay, and that's our tray out of the way. Spin the motor and load the tape. Spin it back the other way and unload the tape. Make sure the tape mechanism is working. It's just a spindle on the motor I'm turning. Tape comes up. Spits the tape out. Right, so we know the mechanism's working okay. Pop that to the side. Now, hopefully this back usually just pops. Has that got clips in there? Oh, this is going to be so awkward. Oh, sod it. Gotta undo all the screws. Right, now I've undone them, this will just come and slide out. At least it can have an all good clean out. All good clean out. Just a good clean out will do. Right, see them caps there, those two are blown. That one's got, obviously blown, it's got stuff coming out on top of it, and that one is domed. So definitely those two need changing. Alright, let's get the soldering iron warmed up. Right, so we've got a 25 volt 680 microfarads and a 10 volt 1000 microfarad. Let's see if I've got any of them laying around. Oh, we've got some 16 volt 1000. I'll test them because I think they've been pulled out of another unit. I haven't got a 25 volt 680. I've got 10 volts and 16 volt 680. So just going to go through some old boards I've got. See if I've got any 680s on these. I think that's a 25 volt 1600 in there. Where are we? That one. Surely that's got to fall out there now. There we go. 25 volt 680. We'll test that, we'll use it. So sometimes when you can't get stuff working, you end up with a box like this. You can get all your capacitors and if something don't work, strip the insides out. There's always something you can use. Power supply works on all of them, so all these capacitors should be good. Right, but I've got this capacitor and component tester. One of them DIY ones that you can sort of solder up, build yourself. So you can put this cap in there, which is a 25 volt 680 microfarad. So at 680, it's saying that ESR is at 0. I don't believe that for a second. Let's try that again. Make sure it's got, the legs are a bit short on here. Probably not making a good contact. Straighten a little bit. Alright, see what it says now. Still saying 6 out 80 microfarads, but the ESR is still 0. I mean, they are lower ESRs, but they're not 0. So this, I think this might need calibrating again. Let's check one of our 1000 microfarads. That's reading the ESR as 0 as well. I think my unit's knackered. I think that needs recalibrating. But we'll get one of these blown ones off there and we'll see what that says it is. Alright, so we'll get this 25 volt 680 off of there. Just basically our pin back here, it's a C1250. If ever you have trouble, let's zoom in. Where are we? So if you ever have trouble unsoldering something, or your solder's not going to flow and a bit of flux don't work, sometimes to help you get it out, just get a fresh bit of solder, get it on there. Yeah, you're putting more solder not on there, but because it's fresh solder, you'll find now, where are we? If I put my hand on it, just got my fingers on the capacitor the other side, but I can now just heat them up and they melt nice and easy and the capacitor's straight out. And for this one, we can just take our solder sucker, warm it back up, suck the solder out the holes, warm it up, suck the solder out the hole. You're ready to put your new one in. Sometimes, did I even get that on camera then? Probably not. Right, let's do the other one. See if we can get you in shot this time. Right, the other one's here. C1260. Yeah, that's my other one. Zoom back out a bit because I'm hanging off the end of my desk. C1260. So again, if I try and just heat that up, it's taking a little while to melt. It's not melting. But with a fresh bit of solder on your tip, that's melted already. Fresh bit of solder, it's melted. All you got to do is touch it again. It melts really quickly. So sometimes just adding a bit of fresh solder will help you get it off. And then you can just wiggle each leg out a bit at a time until it's finally out. And then we can just warm them up, suck the solder out. Ready for our other caps. Right, so let's take our tester. This is our 10 volt 1000 microfarad. We can see the top's bulging. So what does this say? taking forever. Usually it will say it's a bad component, but it doesn't even know what it is at the minute. Yeah, no unknown or damaged parts. It's not even recognising that one. And this one I doubt it will, because it's got stuff leaking out the top. It might do. Might have a bit of capacitance left in it just because it's blown the top. Doesn't mean it's totally dead, but I would expect it is. No, there you go. So that one's only got a value. This is the 680 microfarad. It's only got a value of 127, and the ESR is 5.5. And you can get these little charts, which sometimes vary. So what was this one? 25 volts, 680. So we can look up our 25 volts, come down to our 680, which we haven't got. We've got 470 and a 1000. So it probably should be no worse. These are like worst case scenarios, so it should be no worse than 0.1, I would imagine. So 0.1, and this was reading 5.5 on the ESR. So even if this wasn't blown and you read an ESR of 5.5, change it, because this is knackered. It doesn't even want to read it now. Right, we know it's dead. It was 5.5. Right, so we got our new caps. We know they're good because we've tested them on the component tester. Just clear some of that solder off the legs and straighten them up a bit. Right, so our 16 volt 1000. That was on this part of the board. Now remember which side your plus and minus went. It is written on the board on here, but it's not always. So your capacitor's always got a big grey line with a minus on it, so that goes into your minus side. So just wiggle that in there, hold it. It was the right one, wasn't it? I also remember which cap you took out of where. Yes, just hold your finger on the back of the cap when you put it back on. Where are we here? Yeah, especially if it's not going in all the way, you want the cap to sit nice and flat. Nice and flat. You can, with a bit of solder on your iron, you can just hold it in place. Just melt what solder's on there, and that will just hold it in place. Come in with a fresh bit of solder. Solder them up nice. So that's that one done. Now we'll take our 25 volt 680. Make sure we get this one in round the right way. Just going to hold it in place with our finger. And get a bit of solder on your tip. Just melt that to hold it in place. That's it. Just push the cap the other side. Just make sure it's not. Just to make sure it's nice and flat to the board. Make it look right. Nice. That's it. Our two new caps are on. It's looking a bit black and dark around this area, the board. So I don't think anything else is gone, but we're just going to change those two for now and see what it does. While we've got this apart here, we can see this is our mode switch for the video. So we're going to, for the mechanism, so we're going to give this a little clean up as well. This basically tells the video whether it's ejecting, playing, rewinding, fast forwarding, and you've got an arrow here on the board. Zoom in on that. Right, and that arrow is basically its resting position. So when you put it back together, you've got an arrow over here. See, when I took it off, this was up there. But its resting position should be over here. This arrow should be pointing to this arrow. So this mode switch basically tells it what it's doing, whether it's rewinding, it's stopped, it's playing. It should just, these do just pop out of here. Some little clips around the side, but it's also clipped in the middle, so you kind of want to get under there and pop it up. Slightly bigger nozzle on my screwdriver. There we go, get it under there and pop that out. Right, so you'll notice under here this has got a load of grease on there because it slides around, so you can sometimes get grease down on your pins. So I'm going to spray this with some contact cleaner. And just give it a real gentle brush. These little metal pins in there will bend really easy to go too much. You can also just get cotton buds, although you're not really cleaning this underneath where these little pins go. So hopefully that's clean. We'll just put the lid back on there. Just push that back on there. Clip it into the clips. Even that one I bent a little bit too far. That's it. That's rotating around freely. So we want to line that arrow up with that one now. Ready to have the mechanism put back in, because then when we put the mechanism back in, underneath here you'll see where that pin goes into that arm, which is facing to the side. So when that's that way, that pin will be in there, and it's this arm that moves the pin and basically tells the machine whether it's in play mode, ejected, whether there's a tape in there, fast forward, rewind, all of that malarkey. Right, let's get this all back together. And see if it's been fixed. Tell a lie, my arrow's there, but the pin's down the bottom. So this wheel should be down the bottom. Right, maybe I'm wrong then, because I can't get that. To go anywhere near the bottom. Tape mechanism is fully out. Right, this is going to be a good demonstration then, whether this works or not. I'm sure the arrows have to be lined up. That's set in the hole, so I suppose we'll see what this does when we plug it in. I'm just going to do these board screws up so it holds this down onto the board, and we'll test it. Right, it's all back on. Let's get the face back on there. Sort the bloody camera stand found out. Yeah. When you put the face back on, always make sure you lift the front flap up. Otherwise it will never open the door. Right, okay, let's whack some power on and see what happens. So I'm just gonna as well that's not connected to ground. Just gonna put one of these screws in so the board's connected to ground, just in case, especially the one near the main power supply. Sometimes you haven't got a good ground contact to the rest of the frame, you end up sparking it or it's not grounded properly. Right, let's plug this in. Keep your hands away from this lot. Right, so we have a flashing display. You can just about see that in there. So that is on. Any power? Oh no, it is turned on. It just says 01 in there. Have I connected all this? Usually these spin to tell you they're is that all in there properly? Let's see if it loads the tape in there quick. Oh no, it is. It's loading the tape. That's playing. The screen is very dim and the power button is turning it on, but you can't really see much. A lot of these ones I picked up from this shop, the displays are dim. Should plug it into the TV. Be careful, don't put your hand in there. That's high voltage stuff. It's going to kill you. Be very, very careful when you're handling these. Remember where your hands are at all times. Don't say, I didn't warn you. Oops, I think I just pressed the power button, did I? Maybe the eject button. That looks like it to me. Picture's always all funny on a VHS player. Right, so there we go. Gone from having no power and a tape stuck in there to it all working and playing. Picture's not too bad. I'll probably give the heads a quick clean. But that's it. Gone from a dead machine. Let's stop it. Let's just eject it. Make sure it ejects again. All right. Yep, and let's put it back in. So it looks like I was totally wrong about that mode switch. Usually you line the arrows up, but not on this one. Because it's all ejecting, playing, fast forwarding, all the functions work. Let's rewind it. So yeah, all the functions are working, so I was wrong about the mode switch. Let's get the SCART out. It's not doing a fast rewind because it's stuck right at the beginning. Right, eject. So it's all loading, playing, ejecting, everything's fine. But yeah, so it's just the microphone caught. So yeah, so we've just got a bit of a dim screen there. So you can see, you turn it off, we've just got the flashing time. You turn it on, you can just about see the channel number there, which is on A1. But that's the trouble with these vacuum fluorescent displays. They can get air in them, and they can just, you know, they're basically they're vacuum sealed, so nothing's meant to get in there. But they can leak, and they can lose all their juices and all their things that make them glow, all their chemicals. I forgot what they're called now, but I'm not an expert, so I forget things. Right, so that's it. So I'm just going to put all the screws back into this now, and this one's ready to be sold. I mean, that's taken me, with the film and everything, that's taken me under an hour. If I wasn't showing anything, I probably would have just stripped this out, changed them, and you know, probably would have had this probably done in half hour, 45 minutes. So I mean, if I paid £1 for it, you can probably sell these. This one probably just sell it for like 30 quid. Display's knackered. Most people were just using it to play old tapes or back up old tapes. They'll use this and play it onto a DVD recorder. But that's it. Hope you enjoyed this one. Thanks for watching. Please comment, please like, please subscribe, and hopefully I shall see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.